I was really high. And he gave me a day to think about it, but I decided very quickly. I didn't want my motivation to suffer. I didn't want my happiness to suffer. I didn't want to struggle through life. I just wanted to get on with life. So I decided to have the leg removed, and I brought pictures. Now, I do have to give you this brief warning. I've only brought 2, but I like to show these to drive home just how serious it is. The reason I give these warnings is because I have had 53 people pass out. 52 men. So guys, this is for you. If you do not like blood and guts, I would suggest just go to a happy place. I'll let you know when it's all over. Look, I don't show these to gross people out and make them pass out, even though it's kind of funny. The reason I show these is to show you how serious it was, because it's very easy for me to get up here and say, oh, I got bitten by a shark, my leg popped off, it really hurt. But you can't fully appreciate how serious this is until you see them. I couldn't believe that I was still alive. So the first photo I'm going to show you is a photograph of what was left of my hand when I got wheeled into emergency. It looks a little bit like a bowl of Japanese noodles. There wasn't much left. There was some tendons inside the hand, there was one finger left. I don't know what that extra little bit is. I think that's kind of like when you buy something from Home Depot. You put it together yourself and there's always something left over. Just throw it away. So there was nothing they could do about it. They cut it off at the skin, folded it over, and now my arm ends at the end of my forearm. The leg, however, was a different story. The shark had removed my entire hamstring. It bit down to the bone. And I take these photos around a lot and I get oohs and ahs. The first time I showed this to my mum, all she had to say was, "Good bum." The leg surgery itself was not simple though. To salvage some of the limb, they had to come up with a new technique. And what they did was they cut off my foot, they filleted all the bone off the lower part of my leg and removed it, and folded all of that flesh from the lower part of my leg into the shark bite, like a nice little patty cake. I ended up with 86 staples, 36 stitches, and 2 drainage tubes. You can see they're embedded all the way into the leg to absorb fluid as my leg healed. I ended up pulling those 2 tubes out of my own leg, because after the nurses took out my catheter, there was no more nurses touching tubes into my body. There's a certain noise that you make as a man when a nurse pulls a tube out of your doodle. No man is supposed to make. So I became the tube guy. Unfortunately, after the surgery, I went into a very bad way. My legs swelled up massive. The pain management team could not manage my pain, and I went through 20 hours of agonizing torture where all I wanted to do was die. I laid in my hospital bed for 20 hours, rolling from side to side, bawling my eyes out, wishing that the shark had killed me. It got so bad, Mum came to my bedside and I asked her to buy me a gun so I could kill myself. She later told me she walked down the street outside the hospital just crushed in tears that her son wanted to die. And then she got her nails done and felt heaps better. Apparently it's just the little things for the girls. I've discovered I can cheer up Mum in any situation. But eventually they got that pain under control. And I was laying in my hospital bed thinking, okay, what now? And I had such a good life. And I fought tooth and nail to achieve that life. And a 10-second incident was going to take it all away. How would I do any of these crazy things in the military that I felt made my life worth living now that I didn't have a hand and a leg? It was such a complicated situation. But I hate complicated situations. They're too bloody complicated. I like things to be simple. And so I made a simple choice, a choice that we all get to make whenever we want. What do I want? Do I want a good life or a bad life? Simple. Now, I could have curled up in a ball, got addicted to my drugs, drank my pain away, pushed away all that love and support, and looked at what I'd lost and just had a really bad life. Or I could do what the military had trained me to do. Pick myself up, dust myself off, and get on with the job. I could use all of that love and support I was getting from the friends, that invaluable support, just even the tiniest little comment. I could look at the things that I still had yet to achieve and have a good life. And when you weigh that complicated situation up like that, it's not so complicated, it's so simple. Everyone wants a good life. But where do you start? Where do you begin? I couldn't even go to the toilet by myself. And so I thought back to my life previous to that, and I thought, what made it so good? What did I do in my job and my life that made me so fulfilled? And I thought, well, the first thing that we do every day as a soldier, every day as a clearance diver, is PT, physical training. So why would I break a good routine? And 2 days after I had my leg chopped off, the surgeon came into my room and found me doing one-arm chin-ups on the bar above my bed. Obviously, he was not impressed. Not as impressed as I was. But I didn't want to lay there being a victim. I knew I had to take some semblance of control over this seemingly uncontrollable situation. That was my power, the choice. And so I trained, and I had these little goals, little achievable goals that I'd set for myself, because the big goal that I had of getting back to work was just too big. But piece by piece, and challenge and obstacle, the more I did, the more I could look back on those tiny little goals and see exactly what I'd done, and they drove me to succeed more. I went and got a leg. I went back to training. Obviously, having one hand and one leg can really throw out your bench press and squats. But I used a mantra that I learned in the army: to improvise, to adapt, to overcome. I didn't have a hand to do push-ups, so I'd put my elbow on a bench and I do push-ups like that. You don't have two legs for squats. Does that mean you skip leg day? You never skip leg day. One-legged squats all day long. You improvise, you adapt, you overcome. There is no hurdle, no obstacle that is so big that you can't go around it, over it, or through it. And so I used that every day. And after 6 months, I asked the Navy to go back to work, and they said no. They said, you cannot be a clearance diver again. So I found a way. I talked them into letting me become an instructor, and I could pass on the knowledge that I'd learned, and I started to live again. I started to try all of these things that I had convinced myself that I will never be able to do again. Surf. I still can't do it. I still love doing it, but it doesn't matter. It's the act of living that I love. And I spent 3 years working as a clearance diving instructor with the Navy after the shark attack, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, well, parts of it. It was still working in the military. But life has advanced so much more just from using those same key ingredients throughout my life since then. It's got bigger and bigger and bigger, to the point where now I would not take it back. Not in a heartbeat. My life is so amazing that I don't want to go back to that. I would not have had the opportunities. I would not have learnt the life lessons. In trauma, in struggle, there is strength and there is learning. In vulnerability, there is strength and there is learning. And these have been hard lessons to learn, but so very important. And they have absolutely enriched my life. And so now I'm going to share a little video with you guys. And I like to show this video because I made it out of appreciation. I made it out of gratefulness to the people that supported me and believed in my impossible dreams that have become a reality. Thank you very much.